that I had.
All right, guys, welcome to 801 Labs. How are you doing?
Good. Super excited for this.
Yeah, I'm excited too. So today we have Exploit Night. We haven't done Exploit Night since November, which I miss, but I'm glad to bring it back. So it's kind of a bi-monthly thing. I should have done it last month, but you know, it's what, February 9th, close enough, right? Last time, if you remember, for Exploit Night, we did the text for shell exploit. So we were exploiting a Java application, and we were able to get root, and that was really fun. We also had a huge issue with Chasm, and it crashed and burned. Don't know if you guys remember that, but that didn't work. So we're gonna try it again in this class. We're gonna try Chasm and see if it works. If it doesn't, that's okay, because Nightblood set up a LXC containers that we can SSH into, so those will work great. Before we get started, does anyone have any questions about the hackerspace? Things they want to ask?
How can we give it money?
How can we give it money? Good question.
I'm not a plant. I'm not a plant.
Sure you're not. You look like a plant. If you haven't seen our website, go check it out. It's actually hosted by GitHub with GitHub pages, so that's pretty cool. Our server, our web admin is Admiral, I think. Can't remember, but he's got a cool setup where you can like make a pull request to the website and make changes, and it automatically pushes here. It's super great. Anyway, so you can click the donate button on the website to hit the nonprofit donate page. And literally what it does is it takes you to every.org, which is another nonprofit that deals with all the taking money for us. So that's how you donate
Because
to.
when we got money directly, the IRS gets angry.
Well, they don't get angry, but like for example, with this tool, we can accept crypto, which is pretty interesting. Because crypto is not a scam.
I know Admiral didn't make that one though.
No.
Accept SHIB?
We accept. Yes, we do. SHIB is on the list.
Monero?
Monero is not on the list.
Damn, that's what all of my crypto send.
Well, I'm sorry.
They take BAT?
Yeah, they take BAT. That's the Brave browser, right, or something?
Yes. Only issue, Brave doesn't actually give enough. In order to use your BAT, you have
Okay,
to
this is
verify
tangent.
wallet.
Anyways.
Brave doesn't give you enough BAT to verify, so you can't use.
Anyway, so that's how you do it. We are a nonprofit, so you can write off all those donations on your taxes according to your local laws. In Utah, you can. I'll just tell you that much. Anyways, so that's that question. Any other questions? Nope. Cool. So today for Exploit Night, we're going to hack a webcam. Instead of a server, I brought a webcam that I bought at the DI. I didn't even look it up. I just went to the DI, bought a sketchy looking webcam, and said, this is probably hackable, will work great for the class. So for $15, we have a webcam in here.
Great time.
Yeah, right. Let me switch this to the slide. So it's just this D-Link DCS-930L. That's the model number. And it's going to be really fun. So before we get into it, just a little bit about me. I am one of the board members here at the Hackerspace. I am a security incident responder. I work at Adobe doing that. I've done incident response with them for 4 years now. I co-founded the UVU Cybersecurity Club back with my friend back when we were in college. So that club's still going. They're competing this weekend for the RMCCDC, so that's really cool. I'm married. I have kids. 3.5 horses. Most tech people don't have horses. I have half of one. It's a pony. She's very short. I like that joke. It makes me laugh. and then I love home labs. So there is a home lab server here in Utah, started by some people through SaintCon, and now it's just their own thing. It is one of my favorite Discord servers, other than ours, right? Because I just want to buy stuff all the time. Home labs. Cool. So I'm gonna post some sources here. I don't want you to look into them till after the class, but I'll post the links later, but these are kind of the sources we're going to use. If you see the first two, there are three sources. So you've got this first one up here, then you've got the next two, and then you've got this last one. So three sources. The first two are ExploitDB. And ExploitDB is amazing, and we're going to go over that. And that's it. That's all I've got for slides. So let's do some hacking and some exploiting, and let's have fun. So I want this to be a very I show and do, and we talk, and we kind of work it out together. So if I'm doing stuff and you want to dig into that topic, let's talk about it. If you don't understand what's going on the screen, let's talk about it. If you can't see the screen because you're sitting all the way in the back, join the Discord and click the stream, because we're co-streaming this to Discord as well. So you can do that as well if you can't see everything that's up here. And yeah, just feel free to ask questions. For those online, I see you guys. I'm paying attention to the voice text channel, so if you ask questions there, I will try to look over every few minutes and answer those as well. Cool. So the first step, what we've got to do, the scenario I've come up with is that we want to hack into some company's webcam. And we walked by, we saw the company's office, and they had a guest Wi-Fi. And when we looked into the guest Wi-Fi, we saw that guest Wi-Fi also dropped you onto the corporate Wi-Fi. You would be surprised how often that happens in places.
All the time. It happens here as we speak.
No, it doesn't. We do segment you.
Member Wi-Fi and guest Wi-Fi are the same.
Uh-huh. Yep. That's what I tell you. Anyways, so the member Wi-Fi, all it does is get you access to admin the servers. It's not really a members, because we got rid of members years ago, but anyways, so you're dropped onto this network, you're sitting in your car, and you hop onto this guest Wi-Fi, and you're like, I saw this webcam, and I want to find it.
And Matt.
All right, cool. So you want to find it. What tool should we use to scan our network? Nmap. Okay. Let's use
.sn is not where -sn is not working for me. It's just showing me and the router.
So I'm going to give you the IP scheme. So this is not the IP. This one up here. This is
not the. Are we the 10 dot?
Yep. So it's going to be on the 10.x IP scheme. So 192.168.10.x. And everyone, if you're on the Wi-Fi, you can scan this network, and we're all going to be scanning each other's laptops. So that's great.
If anyone sees a device called Wing, and please tell me what ports are open.
Okay, so I'm going to make this big so that you guys can see. And so to use Nmap, one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to limit the ports to a specific port. So this is a network webcam that we saw, right? We were able to kind of look at it and guess the model number. We know it's a D-Link because it says it right on the front. It says D-Link, right? And so I'm going to guess that the thing has port 80 open.
Is that switch still working?
Yes, the switch is still working. No, the switch is not working. The switch does not work. Do you need me to fix the switch?
I was gonna hardwire to get it faster.
Sorry. So I'm going to limit my scan to port 80. So I'm going to do --P for port, and then put in 80. And then I'm going to put in the IP address scheme. And then
have 2 buttons to say.
Thank you. 10 dot. I think you can do 10 dot star.
Yeah, they like 10 dot star to my knowledge.
Okay, and that will scan every IP on the on that network, that 10 dot, for port 80. So let's let that run for a second. If you want, I want you guys.
Do just a /16 or a /24.
You can do a /24. So one of the things with Nmap, you see that you've got all these things that are responding with closed. Super annoying. So one of the tricks you could do is --open, and it will only show the things that respond back, and it says that they are open. All right, that was really loud. Okay, cool. We got some stuff back. So let me look at this. We have two things open. We have .1 and we have .61. Does anyone, which should we check first? .1 or .61?
.61.
Yep, we should. Why?
.1 is often a
probably
router.
the router or gateway.
Yep, it's usually the router or ate. And so this is going to be, at least on our network, it's going to be our Unify controller. And so if we hit that IP on that port, it will send you to the Unify controller. So I'm going to show you another command that's pretty useful. I don't want to pull it up in my browser because we're hackers and we like the terminal, right? I actually have another reason. I have some session cookies saved and I don't want to play with. So we're going to use a tool called curl, if you haven't used curl before. And we're going to curl that IP. And I'm going to do http:// and then you hit enter. And what that does is it sends the raw code that your browser would normally see, and it comes back. And we're getting an error, authorization required. Does anyone know what we're missing with this output in the HTTP request, the web request that we made?
Maybe a user? No, it's not SSA.
Headers.
But it's like a get or a post.
Exactly.
Like there's some headers.
Yep, so the get and the post. So we're not seeing our request to the server, right? We don't have our get request, and we're not seeing the server's full response. Because the server, like if you visit a web page, here I'll show you. We'll do 801labs.org, right? And if I do right-click inspect, yes, I'm using Edge. Don't judge me. It's amazing. Do you know why? It's because it's got the left style tabs and it's Chromium based.
Why
Anyways,
wouldn't you use Vivaldi?
because Edge is going to have ChatGPT in it soon.
Why wouldn't you use Vivaldi?
Okay, so I'm going to come down to the network tab and I'm going to refresh, and you see all the web requests. So the first one, this is kind of small and I'm really sorry, but with the request, so you see the request headers that we sent when we made the request, and then you have all these response headers that come back. Well, here's your request headers, and then here's your response, right? So you can see this. I know it's small, but you guys can look at it on your own if you want to. So with each web request, you have those headers. So to do that, there's a couple ways to look at it. I can do -I, and what that will do is it will show me just the response headers of my request. Or I can do -VVV, and that will be, it's very verbose, and it will show me my attempt to connect to the server. So you can see that I'm trying to hit that server on that IP, and then here's my get request, right? And you can see what I send, and then you get the response back with the headers and the body of the HTTP response. So one of the useful things for us trying to do an exploit, right, is that the headers sometimes reveal interesting information. In this case, it responds back saying, hey, you need to authorize this request. You're not allowed. You've got a 401 error, right? And you need to respond back with a username and password. And it's telling you that the realm that it's connecting to is DCS-930L. This happens to be the model number of the webcam that we're trying to hit. And then it also gives us the server that's running the HTTP server, and this is alpha PD. Question.
What's the command you ran again?
I ran curl with a VVV for very verbose.
That's what I needed.
Yep. Has anyone heard of alpha PD? Yep, me neither. So when I started looking into this, I typed alpha PD, and it never, I got garbage stuff until I saw a GitHub repo saying full exploit for D-Link server. Right? Now if you look at it, vulnerable devices, that's our device, the 930L. This is cool. We like that kind of a thing. Someone's already done. Oh, they even include a Shodan link. We'll talk about Shodan in a second. I'll open that up, but that's really sweet. So one of the things with this is that this is it looks like this exploit that they have here requires credentials to be successful. So as we go through this, I'm going to show you there are multiple exploits against this camera. Like this is one. There's like 5 other ones that we could be playing with. We're not going to play with this one. I have another one that's even easier to do than this. But I'm trying to show you that these things are really broken. These crappy IoT cameras, even from reputable companies like D-Link.
I mean, this one literally shows you how to do it. It's just a buffer overflow where you just overload the URL.
Okay, so let me pull this. Cool. So there's that. So the Shodan, I don't know if you guys know what Shodan is, but Shodan is a web scanner that will scan the web for certain information. And so, well, basically everything that it can find. So if you could say you could Nmap the entire internet and then put it into a database, that's what Shodan does for you. With additional features, well, they'll try and connect to some of the services and see how they respond, things like that. And so you see here how, here's Shodan. It's gone through and connected to a bunch of internet-facing IP addresses that have the response in the header server alpha PD. And look at this. We're getting DCS 5020. They're we're getting all of these D-Link DCS-931. DCS-930. Hey, look at that. That's our device. These devices that are exposed directly to the internet and available for people. So it's kind of sketchy. I don't know why this guy in Charleston, United States has done this, but he has. I don't want to click the link. I'm not going to connect to his server. Anyways. So this exploit requires a password. And we saw when we hit it with curl that it's asking us for a password. So what should we do?
Try the defaults.
Try the defaults. How should we find the defaults?
That's right there. Admin with a blank password.
Default creds are admin with a blank password. So that's awesome. Let's say that wasn't there, right? There's this site called creds D. Usually what you do is you just type it into Google, D-Link 930,
Admin password.
right? And you can see you'll get the results pretty quick. There's a website that shows has a lot of these passwords archived somewhere. It's pretty useful, but usually it's just a quick Google search away. Like here's a link from D-Link support that says the default username is admin and the password should be left blank, right? So let's go ahead and connect to it and try the default creds.
Nah.
So we hit in username admin, blank password.
Can you do this as a curl request?
Can we do this as a curl request? Yeah, let's do it with a curl request.
How would you ask the user just like
So
JSON?
does anyone know what authentication method this is using when it pops up a blocks like this in your browser? Okay, Taco's got it. What is it, Taco?
HTTP basic authentication.
HTTP basic authentication. Kind of quizzy, sorry guys. So I'm gonna pull up, okay, the developer docs for Mozilla, I love them. It's one of the best things that Mozilla has done, is create these web docs. If you don't agree with me, fight me. So what they've done is they've created this little chart. Well, the docs are a bunch of docs on how web works in all kinds of different ways. How CSS, how JavaScript, how HTTP itself works, right? And so I'm going to walk you through how the request works. Just so you make this GET request. And we make the GET request right here, right? And what happens is it responds back saying, hey, you're unauthorized. Here's the realm. And when it says realm, what it really means is just what it should put or say somewhere on the screen. So in this one it says basic realm means access to the staging site. So it's just a bit of text for it to display. And so what happens is your browser will then say, perfect, let's put up a prompt so the user can type it in and we can connect with the correct password. So what you do is you make a GET request. So your browser does that.
Your browser does that upon receiving a 401.
Upon receiving a 401
With
and
the basic
with this www-authenticate thing.
That basic realm isn't shown anywhere? Well, basic realm in our case?
In a
I
lot
think it's authenticate is basic, and then realm
Is-
equals whatever is extra information.
Yeah. And so Edge is not showing me where it does, but sometimes some other browsers will say what's in the realm, things like that. This is a really old way of authenticating to web servers. And so then
everywhere.
it's super common because it's very easy to implement. And so what your browser does is it adds an extra header called authorization basic, and then it's got this string here. Does anyone, it's pretty small, I'm sorry, but does anyone recognize this string? You said it looks like base 64. You're right, it is base 64. So will you describe base 64 really quick so that I can have time to type it up?
Base 64 is an encoding mechanism that's very easy to both encode and decode, that essentially creates a little mid layer for pseudo encryption on the web. So we're not just passing like raw data back and forth all the time.
Perfect, exactly. So I'm gonna take that base 64 input that they gave us, and I'm gonna decode it using something called CyberChef. I love CyberChef. It's this tool that has all kinds of fancy features on it. It's amazing. So I'm sure I've typed something wrong.
The utility of base 64 here is not really a security feature. It's more that
It's an encoding feature.
Right, so it would allow you to have, say, usernames and passwords that have non-English characters in them, and yet the protocol
There's a
is still
capital L at the
using
end.
all basic ASCII characters.
It's yeah. So exactly, and it's not. So base 64 is not what we call encryption. It's what we call encoding, and so it just takes data, either raw binary data or whatever, and it encodes it into a set number of characters. And this is alphanumeric characters, including uppercase and lowercase, right? And so the way that it's got is you've got two parts to it. You've got the first part, which is the username, and then you've got a colon, and then you've got the second part, which is the password. And so all the browser does is put those things together. So if we wanted to, say, make a request with curl, like you asked, all we need to do is follow this pattern. So I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to type admin colon, and let's just put in password. And I'm going to do, instead of from base 64 to base 64. Now one of the tricks about base 64 is it needs to have the data in chunks, set chunks. And if it doesn't match the chunk perfectly, you'll add this. It adds this equals character to the end to kind of finish the chunk out.
It's
Right.
Sets of three.
Sets of three. Yeah.
Sets of three.
I think it's sets of 4 characters total.
4?
Yeah, I don't remember. It's a certain number of chunks. Anyways, so if you ever see an equals at the end, you're almost guaranteed to be one of the base encodings, usually base 64. But if it hits the chunk perfectly, it might not have the equals, so don't discount it if it's not there. So if we want to do curl, what I'm going to do is I don't remember the exact, I think it's -H for headers.
Yes, it's a capital H.
Perfect. I don't remember the exact syntax of this, so I'm going to do --help, and I'm going to do grep that for header. So, nope, that didn't work.
Curl also has a command line option.
Yeah, I'll get to that. Yeah, I'll get to that. Oh, that's why it's not showing us all of it. I want help, and then I want
Help space all.
space all. Perfect. Okay, and then let's grep for header. So what this grep does is it just limits the output to any line that contains the word header. So right here you've got your --header, and that allows you to pass custom headers to the server. So let me see if I can find that this way, because I think
I saw it.
Passed it.
There it is. Yep. It doesn't. So it doesn't have anything other than that. So we want to pass a custom header. I always forget curl syntax because I have them all just basically hotkeyed out on my other machines. So we're going to add this header. And if we go back to Mozilla's documentation, it needs to be authorization : basic and then the base 64, right? CATION : basic and then that. So if I do that, that should put it in and that should work. Problem is our password is wrong. We still don't know what the password is. So,
Tried just the blank yet, or?
so we did try just the blank and it didn't work. Taco mentioned something pretty useful. Curl is a fancy tool and it will automatically put in the credentials for us. If I remember right, it's -u, and then we can do admin : like 1, 2, 3, 4. And that should do it as well. So it'll just encode it and add the header and do that all for us. But again, we don't know what the password is. So what should we do? Any suggestions?
Hydra.
Okay, someone mentioned Hydra. So Hydra is a tool for brute forcing these types of credentials. That is a great option. That's not what I'm going to do because it's a poor webcam that I've got here and I don't want us all to Hydra it and break it. What it does is it just tries and it brute forces all the passwords it can. I am fairly confident that this web server on this camera does not do any sort of rate limiting. It's just going to be rate limited at the speed that the processor of the camera can handle. Right, it'll just go as fast as that processor can until it stops running out of CPU cycles to handle the requests we're making. But again, I don't want to do that. That's just a lot of work. We could, if you guys want to. The password should be Hydrable, but there's another trick. So I remember how I talked about going to exploit DB. Okay, so there's a question about sniffing the traffic. Yes, we can sniff the traffic. If we're sniffing, and the reason why is because the server we're connecting to is HTTP, not HTTPS. So Taco said that base 64, this isn't a security method. The HTTPS encrypts all the headers you send to the server, and that's the security method that keeps that password from being cracked. But we would have to man in the middle a user logging into the device, and I'm just sitting on a laptop in a car outside on their Wi-Fi. I don't think I can man in the middle them very easily. I might be able to say they're on a laptop and set up an evil access point and do it that way. But that's a lot noisier of a way to do it. Let's try something else. So I mentioned we had this exploit DB, right? Let's pull it up because I love this site. It's amazing. And one of the things what people can do is they can have these, it's just a database of a ton of exploits that people have submitted. And so they take, here, let's click on this first one. So they take an exploit, let's see, can I make this bigger? There we go. And then they just write it out in text format of what it is. So here is a smart router SR510, a remote code execution exploit. And then they've either written code or they write a description of how to do it, things like that. So one of the things I like to do is just search. And the problem with searching is you need to be very general in your searches and not specific, because anyone can put whatever words they want. There's no real standardization of exploit DB, unfortunately. So I can't just put in a device name and find everything I want to. You need to do more than that. I mean, we can try. We can do DCS-930L, and we can see what comes up. And we get a single exploit, remote command execution, Metasploit. That's telling me that there's a Metasploit module for this, but it's authenticated, so if we have the username and password. So if we make it more general,
Looks like there's something for credential disclosure.
and we just type the word D-Link, we might find something useful. But we have 11 pages of these, so I don't want to go 11 pages through. So what if we do
maybe 9.3?
So if I just do DCS, which is a product line, and we're going to assume that the manufacturer has similar code across their whole product line, maybe we can find something useful, right? Different versions, different models will have different sub-features and different hardware, but maybe they have similar software encoded in the same way, so exploits might go across. So there's a lot. So we have 9 here of different ones. We have a remote IP address changer. That's kind of cool. Doesn't give us a password. We have a remote buffer overflow. So if I click on that and look at that, it looks like it is authenticated. Darn it. We have multiple vulnerabilities. That's super helpful. Authentication bypass. Okay.
And our product number on the version.
Oh, and then we have our product. Oh, but with firmware 1.04. I'm gonna save you a little bit and say this one from Walmart. For this one from DI was a newer firmware version than this. It was a 2 dot something. So
Is the camera on?
yeah, it is on.
Is it your arm?
My arm.
Is it pointing at your arm?
That's it. That's the camera.
Nice.
Did you hydrate it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I told you it was hydrable.
I don't know how to use Hydra.
But I want to do it a cooler way than that. So we'll get into that in a second. So this one uses this frame/git config. It doesn't work. That doesn't exist. We can't use this authentication bypass because they patched it. So let's keep looking. This one, let's stick on this one. Cross-site request forgery. Okay, does anyone know what cross-site request forgery is? I am really excited.
Yeah, it's kind of like where you have you'd have like a comfort page, something like that pop up.
Okay. A what page pop up?
Comfort page,
A comfort?
like your rewrite.
Rerouting a page request to another page?
Close.
Yeah.
So what cross-site request forgery does is, so I can write a website and I can have code in that website make requests to other servers, right? And usually you will do this to make like an API request or pull in data, right? Load in an ad, things like that. Well, what if I make a request from a website to an IP camera and I tell it to change the password instead? Wouldn't that be interesting? So what you do, and say the user is authenticated already. They logged into the camera earlier that day because they wanted to check on their stuff before they got into work. Then they drove in with their laptop and they load up a web page, and that web page in the background goes and makes a request to a different server and resets the password, right? That would be awful. No one would ever want to do that, right? That's what cross-site request forgery is, where you're on a different site and you make a request to a different one and make actions on those sites happen that's not supposed to. To fix that, most modern sites will have they call it CSRF token, CS, cross-site RF request forgery, a CSRF token that needs to be passed with the request as well. And so those other sites can't send and make those requests. But this is an old IP camera from DI that happens to have a cross-site request forgery issue on ExploitDB. So let's do that. So one of the things that I'm going to surmise with this scenario is that we're able to send an email to the business owner of the small business, and that they will click on a link, right? And our link is going to have a link to our malicious webpage that will do cross-site request forgery. So here they're telling us that there is a setup/security.cgi and some items here that you can pass. I don't want to look into that. I want to kind of show you guys how to build it yourself and build upon Icelord's class last week, and we're going to play with Wireshark. So, do you remember the Wireshark class? Let's actually use it for something fun. So what I did is on my laptop about 30 minutes ago, I went and changed the password to this website, and I recorded the traffic for that. And so I posted it to the Discord channel under voice text, but I'm also going to spin up a quick web server that you all can hit that will have that up. So it's actually already up. So if you go to 192.168.10.138:8000, you'll see a website with a, it's just running on my laptop, with a, that's funny, who did that? With a Wireshark capture. You can see that Wireshark. So go ahead and if you have Wireshark on your laptop, go ahead and download it and we can play with it together. Otherwise, I will just run it through and we can watch. So I will leave this IP up on the screen for a minute. Control.
What would be one of your favorite TCP now?
Wireshark. I mean, what do you mean by commands?
Okay, nothing in media.
There is a TCP dump right from the command, just TCP dump, right?
Oh yeah. You can make it big.
Oh, when I created it, I just straight used Wireshark. I just used the capture in Wireshark because it was easy and I was in a rush.
I'm building this back up, so
I am not as good as Kip is in Wireshark, so this is going to be simple Wiresharking. So this is the request. You see a bunch of HTTP traffic, and it's limited to only this. This is a very small packet that makes it kind of nice for us. So this first one is we see a post request, right? And so I'm going to do right click, follow HTTP stream. And this will show the whole stream of basically all the HTTP stuff that goes on with this request. And what you see here is you see a post request to change the password. And this is what that looks like. And with our cross-site request forgery, we need to emulate this post request so that we can make it so that when the owner of the business clicks our link, our site makes a perfect request, just like as if they had hit the submit button on this. So the first thing we get is we have the authorization basic. Now this is kind of fun, not really useful for what we're doing, but we can look at what the old password was before they changed it. So I just dump it in here, and I do from base64, and then clean that up. You can see that the old password was admin, and then username was admin, and the password was 801 labs. That's a pretty easy password, right? Now what we're going to do is, let's go back to this. Then you see that what they're doing is they're making a post request to this endpoint, which is /set system admin. And then what they're posting are these variables. So I went ahead and created a sample cross-site request forgery page, and then we're gonna tweak this page to match that so that it'll make the same request. While I'm doing that, does anyone have questions or want to talk about stuff?
Yeah, when you just Wireshark that, what command did you record, basically?
So what I did with Wireshark is I went to go away. So what I did is I put the host in here in the capture filter and just to the IP of the server.
Okay.
So I wanted to limit it to only the traffic from my laptop going to that server when I did that.
And then you were just in the browser.
And then I just manually in the browser and clicked the password page and then went and stopped recording. So let's go back to here.
So if the user is not authenticated by a cookie or anything like that, then what's the point of doing this cross-site scripting attack?
So what I want to do is I want to change the password.
Right.
And I don't know, so it is authenticated, but it's authenticated with this authorization basic. And I don't know what that is. and that's saved
That's
in the
sensitive
session.
Information.
Yeah, I don't know what that authorization basic is, and that's saved on their session because they logged in earlier that day, right? And when the browser makes a request to that page, it's going to resend that because the browser just saves it and sends it with every single request. So I'm going to have the site will have the authorization to change the password, but you and I running the web server will never know what it is. We only can change it. So I'm going to create a form. So I've got a form here, and I'm going to create all of these variables to match what was done on the page. So let me just go through and do this real.
What's the URL of your form? Is that just...
I haven't posted it yet.
Oh, okay, you haven't.
No. So this is just in my notes. So we're just going to craft it here as if it was a text page. So we've got those, and then admin password. Okay, and then system config, right? Bam. Okay, and now I'm going to fill in the default values for each one of these. Copy your ped. Sorry, this is the not exciting part, to watch me copy paste. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then apply. So I'm just gonna type. All right. So what should we change the password to be?
801 Labs?
How about hack me? Okay, all caps, hack me. So one of the things that will happen, this is kind of interesting, is that this will actually show up on the page that they're doing, right? And so we want to treat. Okay, Admiral has a better suggestion. He wants it to be eaten by goats. Sure, we'll do that. It will actually show this. It will show. It will refresh the page, because when you do that, here, let me pull back. When you do this, it responds back when it makes the post request with an entire web page. And so if the user clicks my thing, and then it responds back with a web page, it's going to redirect their site from my malicious page to the D-Link router, and the user's going to know what's up, which isn't good. We kind of want to do this in the background, right? So I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to use iframes to hide it. So let's see, CESRF, iframe, post. So I forget what the trick is. Here we go. Perfect. So what you're doing is you're creating just an iframe that can hide, and then you're giving it a name. And then what you're going to do is you're going to set the target for the post of the form to be the name of the iframe. And so that refresh will happen in the iframe, but since I've set in the style for the iframe to display equals none, the user shouldn't see it. It'll just kind of happen in the background. And then the last thing is I need to make sure that that path is correct, because I don't think, yeah, it's not. Believe it or not, this site has multiple CSRF endpoints. So here we have a web page that we can now display to the user. So I'm going to save that as on desktop, and then exploit night as super safe page.html. Okay, so now super safe page.html is available on my web server that I was sharing with everyone. So let's pretend that I am the person, right? And we send them a link to this page, this super safe page. So I am currently logged into the D-Link router. Let's see if I can show you. Click live video. Oh, I'm not. Okay, so now I'm logged in. Is it gonna work?
Oh, is that my fault?
No. Yeah, I think so. So you can see, this is our live camera, right? So I'm logged in. We're pretending that this browser is the bad guy. right? And so we're just gonna open in a new page, and we're gonna type in that URL. So assume that we have emailed the user the link, they have clicked it, and then they visit the page. Oh, that's lame, it's blank. Well, we could have made the page pretty and had, like, let's say we're emulating an article or something that they need to see a receipt, right? And you just put that data on there, an invoice, and they view the invoice and they're like, oh, okay, I need to pay this, and they go back. But what happened in the background, oh, I should have recorded this. I'll show you. What happened in the background is you see it hit this set system admin. And so my browser went and made that request in the background while I wasn't looking. I didn't see anything pop up when I hit the page, but it did make that request. So now, if we refresh the page, admin, and then the password before was Mike, right? Yeah, doesn't work anymore. We changed the password, so we should be able to put in our new password, right?
Wait, my capture has the admin password as 1234.
That was me doing the capture.
Okay.
Because, yeah, it was just me making it so that you guys could see what it looked like. So I put in the eaten by goats. Ooh, yeah, we have access to the camera, and all we did is send the user a link. Really fun. But now we have the ability to use those RCE exploits because we have authenticated access, right? So, and I'm going to go through and let's go back to
There was one
this one.
There was one exploit that looked interesting. There's an arbitrary file upload, and we could do a firmware downgrade.
Yep, we can. I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to.
There's a Metasploit
right now.
Command execution.
Yep, so there's a Metasploit module. Who here has used Metasploit before? Okay, so you know how easy it'll be to attack this box with a Metasploit module. Let me show you how to do it without Metasploit. And if you want to, you can go. We have a class on YouTube that has all about Metasploit. You can figure that out that way. But this is what your Metasploit modules look like, and they're written in Perl, if I remember right. And I'm just gonna look through here and see what they do. So I'm gonna come down to the. You've got a send request CGI method. And then you've got here we have a begin and we have it. Okay, this is the important part. So you can see here in the code that they've got the way their exploit works is they're making a post request with that username and password, right? And then they have these variables, which is super similar to what we did with our cross-site request forgery, but with the password. So here's an interesting thing you can do with this. You can actually exploit the server never knowing the password. Because it's vulnerable to a cross-site request forgery, we could just make that forum do this exploit straight from the form and not even ever know the password. So getting the password, changing the password wasn't quite necessary. But it's kind of fun to go through. So, question. I must not have explained that very well.
No, I'm just curious. Could we trigger off that own CSRF attack, or we still need them to?
We still need them to because they have the password.
They have the original.
They have the original password, right? And so, I crafted just for the sake of time because we're hitting close to it now. Well, we're at 50 minutes now. I'm going to show you what a curl request would look like for that. So to exploit this box. So.
Are these up on your examples page?
No, I haven't posted these yet. It's just in my notebook, my Obsidian notebook. So what you're doing is you're putting in, we learned about authorization, right? And so we need to tweak this to have the right password. So let me go in and set that. So we need to get the base 64, and it was admin : eaten by goats. 2 base 64. So there we go. We have our string. So we can put this here as the header, and then we're giving it the data with these 1, 2, 3, 4 variables, and the third one being super important. System command equals, and then I put CMD here, so we can put our command there. What command should we put? Well, we have a ton to do. The nice And this would take a while with us playing with it to kind of figure out a useful one if we were trying to exploit it for the first time. Thankfully, Metasploit already told us what to command because they have this CMD variable. So let's just go look at what they did. Where is it? Okay, so they create a telnet port that pipes to bin/sh. That's nice. So this should give us a reverse shell onto the box. So let me put that in here. And then the port, well, I have a favorite port for hacking, and it's 9001. And let's hit enter. Okay, so now I should be able to do telnet, the IP address,
It doesn't have that cap.
and then 9001. Did you already connect to it?
Yeah.
Get off the box!
It doesn't have net.
No,
I
it doesn't.
Get a better shell.
No, only one person can connect to the telnet port at a time.
Okay, I disconnected. Also, it means I can't get a better shell.
Okay, you broke the port.
I exited.
yeah.
I swear.
I know you did. So let's do 9002 because it's over 9,000. Thanks, Admiral. You remembered why. Okay, connection refused.
Is anyone else on the port?
Hey, I want that one.
Fine. 9003. Don't do this one, please. Well, maybe it's not you. Maybe it's me. Well, let's do it again.
I'm so sorry, Ben.
Is that the right IP? Yeah, that should be the right IP. I hope we didn't crash it. We might have crashed it. So that's one thing about these IoT devices is they crash super easy. Yeah, connection refused. Okay, so I'm gonna unplug it and plug it back in. I think Telnet can only run once. So let's wait for it to come back up.
Yeah. Well, while you're doing that, okay, I'm on the guest network, and I can't ping that. I can find a fair number of other hosts, but I can't ping that. Any
Cool.
idea what might be going on?
Because I just unplugged it.
Well, no, like, I haven't been able to do the entire class. Anyone else run into that? Or if I got some weird funky thing with my firewall?
I've been able to ping. I've been able to connect to it. But
Yeah, and I'm on the guest network too.
Yeah. I'll have to diagnose.
10.61.
Yeah, I'm getting a beamer.
Okay, it's back up. Okay, don't touch my ports. Whoa, maybe it's my box. That would be very disappointing. 9003. Okay. 192.168. Connection refused. Oh, maybe I need to exploit it again. Telnet D. Save 9001.
Does there need to be a space between the TAC-L and /bin/sh?
Well, he was able to log into it, though, so...
I was using the Metasploit module,
okay.
so
Oh, you were using the Metasploit module. Okay.
it's the cheap way in.
'Kay.
Okay.
You're using the Metasploit module. That's
Might
good to
have
know.
changed some other things.
Okay, telnet port.
And all I did was run LS a few times and find out that there's no netcat.
9001-L.
In theirs, there wasn't a space, so.
Wow, okay, that's disappointing. Now it's not working.
I'm sorry.
There's got to be something wrong with my command here.
Come on, Jay.
Reply success page, doc HTML, reply error page, doc system command, telnet, config system command equals save.
Oh, does there need to be quotes around the system command? Around the
No,
command?
there isn't.
Nmap says no.
Oh, I know what my problem is. I'm not making a post request. -x post.
And you need to get rid of that space between the tech L and the slash bin.
Yeah. Okay, curl post. Yeah, it's dash X capital post. Maybe we're doing our basic authorization wrong.
Could you post the iframe code that you had before to the voice text channel?
Yes. Dash S user, and the username and password is admin : eaten by goats.
Man, just try Metasploit.
No, he's trying to get it the other way.
I mean, this is the more fun way, yes, but
Well, the thing is, I don't have Metasploit set up.
oh,
Set system admin.
That's interesting how Metasploit works on WSL.
It works just fine. Admin ID.
can't argue with that.
Oh, this is disappointing. Well, it worked this morning when I was testing it.
Did you sacrifice to the demo gods?
No, I did not.
Can you press up enough times to get back to the
It was on
command?
a different host. Reply success page, doc HTML.
Reply error page, .html.
I feel really dumb.
Telnet D.
Figured out why I couldn't connect.
What?
I was going through my VPN.
That would do it.
That said, it should be transparent to
ADM
local network.
eaten by
but
goats.
shouldn't it?
Okay, well we'll do Metasploit then. Okay. So do you want to guide me through doing it with Metasploit?
Sure. First, get the Metasploit console open.
Okay. No, man, that's so sucky. I wanted to do it manually. Okay, Metasploit's cool. Okay, Metasploit console here.
Okay, search. Honestly, you can just search TP. Yeah, DCS-930, that works.
Okay.
Use 0. Show options. And then if you scroll up.
Okay, so we want to set
You want to set our hosts, HTTP password, and password.
password is eaten by goats. Right? Okay, next
Yep.
thing. We want
Password all cap.
password. Do we need this? This isn't needed.
I don't know. I just set both.
Target port, we want our host.
Yeah, you definitely want our hosts.
Set, so that's the remote IP that we're hitting. Let me make sure the password's still the same. Yep, still our hosts. Okay. And then we just type the word exploit. Okay.
See? It is something with your session.
Yeah, I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. We can figure it out. Okay, so it drops us to a shell. Does anyone recognize this shell?
It's normal SH.
No. This is BusyBox. So if you do /bin/sh, it shows you the header that Metasploit kicked out, and you even get the specific. I'm going to exit that and go back to the original one. You get the specific BusyBox shell. You can tell because BusyBox, at least from my experience, always starts with that pound symbol. Which is pretty cool.
Normal shell also start with a pound symbol?
Can be, but it's super common with BusyBox. And you can see that, well, when I type help, it does that. Let's see. Shell. Oh, Metasploit is so nice. Doing this manually sucks.
Main reason I was saying it was normal SH is because when you try to do a command that it doesn't identify, it says bin/sh.
Yeah, so we're in the box, and there's very few tools available to us on this camera.
GPIO.
So if, let's say I want to, what's a common thing that you would want to do? You'd want to run netcat, right? Not found. Okay, I want to do ipconfig. Not found. IF config, because maybe it's, oh, we have IF config. Interesting. Okay. This is kind of useful. It has it has this stuff here. So there's our IP that it is. Anything else we should do? Now, I mean, we got root on a webcam. What should we do?
Does it have wget or something to download?
Wget, not found. Curl, not found.
PS-E.
Wait, in help there was something about.
PS-E. Ooh, look at this. We can see the running processes. That's pretty useful.
That's more running processes than normal PS because it shows, like, even the background ones.
So you got PS aux, which is my favorite, which has tons of them. So this is interesting. We have an MDNS responder. Cool thing about that, there was that vulnerability where you could change the IP address. It's through this MDNS responder. It's basically listening to broadcast things, and you can change it. Please don't RM-RF it. You will break my camera. One of the interesting things to do is to play with shell scripts that are running. So we can cat this shell script, and we can instantly see all the code that is probably proprietary to D-Link, right? And we can play with it. Like some interesting stuff in here.
Does it have something like Vim or Nano?
Yeah.
Vim or, okay, let's do Nano. Not found. Vim, not found. V, not found. How are we going to edit files on this box? Pico.
Cat.
If you
Cat is cat available? Cat is available.
you catted earlier,
Write a
so.
file, I guess.
So we can
Yeah.
cat a file. Let's say I want to build it.
I have sed
Sed is available.
that can edit files.
Yep, Sed can edit files. So in these
File with cat. It's
You can-
painful.
Yeah, in these limited environments, it's really hard to get useful stuff done. Like it's really hard. So in my thing, I have a second link. This guy wrote a whole article on restricted environments and IoT and how he had the same problem. No netcat, no wget, no curl, no web server, no socat, no bash, no Python, no TFTP. Obviously, no CCC or GCC to compile stuff on the box. Like, what do you do? So what this guy did, it was pretty interesting, is he used MSF Venom to build basically a reverse shell that was better than normal Telnet, and to transfer files that way. And then he used this fancy XXD and SED to write to the box, because yes, SED is available. So you can transfer an entire binary file using SED. This was pretty interesting with this article. We're not going to dig into it too much, other than I thought it was really fun to watch his method of doing this. So I'm kind of out of time, so we can play with this webcam all we want. You guys can pop up Metasploit and do exactly what I did. We can
Don't sudo RMRF, no root.
we have a Chasm server, chasm.801labs.org.
There's casting so that they can do it without a login.
So how do I?
So if you do replace that login with, so it's /pound/cast/Kali, I believe. Let me double check.
Cast/Kali. Yeah, there we go. So this, if you don't have a Kali Linux box, if you hit that URL, it will spin up a Kali Linux instance for you on the Hackerspace network, and you can use that. If this server gets bogged down, we have an SSH one that you can do
Bash,
too
I
that's
just
not GUI based.
messaged you can put it up on your notepad so that people can see the URL.
The one that I did. This one?
Oh, you did.
Yep.
Cool. Yep.
So that's the address if you want to hit our Kali box.
Cast.
Cool. Any other questions? How do you guys feel about that exploit? Like, did all of that make sense? Did the process of using CSRF to then using this other exploit make sense to you guys? Any questions?
Can you run through the Metasploit version of it?
Metasploit. Okay, yes, we'll go through
I
it.
tried to do the use 0, it just didn't do anything.
Okay, we'll go through abort session. We'll go through Metasploit.
I think we can have multiple telnet sessions. Right?
So Metasploit has a bunch of built-in exploit modules, right? And you can type them in manually, or you can search for them. So one of the and searching for it makes it really easy, because remembering this huge long path, it's like Linux, HTTP, D-Link, like, and typing all that can be annoying. So if you use the search button and you hit search, it will show you. You can see here all the exploits that match that search query that you did. So I searched the word DCS-930, and it comes up with 2 modules that come back. You have your authenticated remote code execution, and then you have the file upload that was mentioned earlier that was interesting. And then you've got here the number on the left of it for each one, so number 0 and number 1. So you do the search, and then you can do use, and then choose the number, and it will automatically use that big long one and type it up for you. So you could do, instead of searching, you could do use and type the full path, but again, that's a lot of work. Then you type show options, and it will show you all of the options available to you with Metasploit. This required column is really important, because you only need to enter in the things that are required. So, and they lied. Password is required for us, because there's a password set, and it's not the default blank one. If it was default, right, we wouldn't have to enter it in, but we do need to enter it in for this one. So you set the password, the username, which is, you don't have to set, because by default it's admin. You set the password, and then you've got our host and our port. And our host is the IP address of the host you're hitting, and then our port is the port. And so I set everything else. So I set the our host, and this port was pre-filled for me. So I set those 2 variables, and then I type the word exploit, which is basically run the exploit.
How do you set those variables in Metasploit?
So you use the word set, variable name, and then what you want to set it to. So I did set HTTP password, and then eaten by goats. And then I did set our hosts, and then the IP address. And then I type the word exploit, and then it drops me down to the shell.
So I just found an interesting file.
I wonder if you could use that upload exploit to upload netcat or something.
Yes, that's a cool thing. We probably could, and not have to use that one guy's crazy method of uploading files.
If it works, yeah, that would be nice.
You know the file that you found, the
Shell script?
MyDLink watchdog?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see? Shell
Mhm.
script, yeah?
Yep.
There's one labeled factory reset. I'm not gonna run it. I'm not gonna run it, but it's just right there.
One of the things I want
Because
you...
that watchdog script is within, like, the actual folder that holds everything.
These things are probably provisioned using TFTP if you really needed to.
So they're not. Oh, they might be provisioned, but I don't know how to get it to listen, right?
Yeah, no, you probably have to find pins on it to go through serial.
There
if any.
was in the bin a GPIO. That looked interesting.
Okay, any more questions before we finish? Okay, cool. Well, thank you guys for coming. Hopefully that was helpful. Any suggestions on what we should do next time in 2 months for the next exploit night?
So I wanted to comment that I am shocked that this still works. I thought that there was a big crackdown and like all of the major web browsers stopped allowing this sort of thing, and apparently that's not really the case, although it might hopefully change in the future.
What is this sort of thing?
The CSRF.
Yeah.
The problem is you can't completely limit those cross-site requests because they're really important for Google to make their money.
Firefox has already switched to giving each site its own cookie jar, which was a big step in the right direction. But they're apparently allowing things like allowing cookies to be sent to iframes when they really shouldn't be.
Right? Yeah, it's super. I was surprised too because I'm like, I thought this was 10 years ago that we were doing this. I tested it last night. I'm like, no, this still works.
I found some documentation saying that Firefox plans to like tighten the screws on this behavior, but I don't know when that's going to happen.
But it would break YouTube, it would break Facebook, it would break.
You have to get Google in on it. Chrome's market share is just too big.
Yeah.
I suspect that we'll see at least some screw tightening, but we'll get rid of at least the easier or less obvious attacks.
All right. Thank you everyone for coming to class. We'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Bash.